Hey everybody, it's Crypto Caesar here with a breakdown for UFC 329. The return of the Mac, baby. Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway as the main event. We might as well just start there. Now, Max is younger, more active, and most of his wins come from volume. But that's exactly the type of style that Conor basically thrives with. Max gets hit a lot, and Conor is probably the greatest counter striker in UFC history. A pressure striker is Conor's ideal opponent. That's probably why Conor is excited. Probably feels as much confidence as he does going into this fight with Max. Everyone talks about Conor's cardio, how inactive he's been, but they ignore all of the context. His biggest cardio issues were with Nate Diaz, moving up from 145 to 170. Nate is also drastically bigger than Max is. And ever since then, he's built McGregor fast to help with conditioning. He's been boxing, so you should expect his striking to even be better than it was before. And I think the ring rust is probably the only real concern that we have to think about. Now, Max has all the advantages on paper, but if this turns into a striking match, which is exactly what I think will happen, I'm gonna take Conor every single time. And you're telling me that he's the underdog. Now, from a betting perspective, you have to take the better striker in a striking exchange, no? So, I mean, Connor has built a whole career off of proving doubters wrong, and I feel like he's gonna do the same exact thing come Saturday night. So yeah, my simple prediction for this is Conor McGregor wins. Not sure exactly how. Most likely he will finish Max, but we've seen him go into 5 rounds and win against Nate, who does triathlons, like probably has even better cardio than Max himself. So again, I'm gonna go with Conor McGregor winning and proving everyone wrong once again. The Mac is back, baby. Next up, we have Benoit Saint Denis versus Paddy Pimblett. And honestly, like the grappling is probably the main thing we have to speak about because we can all agree that BSD will most likely take Paddy down, but can he hold him down? I think he's overly aggressive sometimes, and that would allow Paddy to scramble. And if Paddy can get back up and they start striking, I trust Paddy's chin way more than I trust BSD's. And I feel like Paddy will eventually get him. He'll probably hurt him at some point. And if he doesn't put him away, he'll probably uh, get on top after dropping him and find his own finish. So I to make it as simple as possible is can Paddy take advantage of BSD's over aggressiveness? And I feel like that's exactly what will happen. To keep it short and sweet, I think Paddy wins by submission. All right, next fight we have is Corey Sandhagen versus Mario Bautista. And this is probably the closest fight on the card. It's just probably 50-50 for me. Sometimes I think Corey easily wins. Other times I feel like Mario can really press him up against the fence and steal the minutes and win that way. I mean, it's very, very close. I don't feel like either guy has like a weakness that the other one can truly exploit. It's just about like will of attrition, like who can do more, who can implement their game plan more. And when something is that close, when it's 50-50, sometimes it's just as simple as go with the underdog. If you're looking for value, you go with the underdog. I Even when you look back at their old fight, it was still pretty competitive. Mario was submitted, but that was his first, I believe that was his UFC debut. So I look at that and I go, as much improvement as Mario Batista has made, and you see Corey struggle with wrestlers. Like, yeah, it's not like he's getting finished, but it's still hard for him to make that extra leap. Like he still feels like he plateaued. Like his skills are where he will be, as opposed to Mario Bautista, who seems to just be improving massively from fight to fight. And when those type of things are happening, you just have to go with that type of fighter, the one who looks like he's on the correct trajectory. So with that, I'm going with Mario Bautista, most likely by decision. All right, next fight we have Brandon Raw Dog Royval versus Loney Kavanaugh. And honestly, Loney Kavanaugh is like basically a perfect fighter with one flaw, right? The Achilles heel is his durability. It's that one thing where it's like you can do everything right, but if you get caught, lights out. And I feel like Brandon Royval is one of those people who loves to fight. He is very skilled, but he almost loves chaos more. And it's like if this was to be a chaotic striking exchange, I feel like Brandon Royval would get the finish. He would clip Loiney and he would be able to put him away. However, I feel like Loiney's way too technical. He's probably gonna stay on the outside and start clipping him, almost like he did with Brandon Moreno. I feel like it'll be very similar to that. Royval gets hit a lot, a lot. He's very similar in boxing style, like Max Holloway, in the sense of like they feel like because we have decent chins, we can keep just striking, and it's like I am willing to take shots as long as I get to land mine. But when you look at someone like Kavanaugh, it's like he is very good at not getting hit. He has great footwork, great distance management. His counter striking is amazing, and I feel like when you're going into a fight like that, the more technical fighter will win unless he goes into a war, and I don't see that happening. I feel like Loney is probably gonna keep landing on Royval and eventually put him away. So I think he wins by knockout. The next fight on the card is King Green versus Terrence McKinney. And honestly, there's one of those fights that's almost impossible to break down technically because there's so many first round outcomes. You could get Terrence by KO, Terrence by submission, even Green by KO, or possibly even submission if for some reason Terrence gets tired. But it's controlled chaos. Like I would have to say it's gonna be a first round war, and with Bobby keeping his hands as low as he does, countering. I feel like Terrence is probably the better striker. So if I had to pick, my official pick will be Terrence McKinney by first round KO. But the safest bet, probably the best bet, is just to go with the under 1.5 rounds. So yeah, simple. Next fight, we have Robert Whitaker making his light heavyweight debut against Nikita Krylov. And honestly, the one question you gotta ask yourself is, do you trust Robert Whitaker's skill to go up against someone of the size of Nikita Krylov? Because that's really all you're worried about when it comes to Whitaker. Is like he's never been a giant middleweight. So going up to light heavyweight kind of seems like, geez, you're going to have to face drastically bigger opponents. But Krylov is not as skilled. Whitaker is clearly the better martial artist. And I feel like almost everywhere, his only flaw in this fight is that he's the smaller guy. That's it. So Krylov does have he has a real chance of landing something, but his striking defense is not that great. His durability is not that great. And I feel like with Whitaker's speed, his movement, the ability for him to blitz in and out with that style that he has made basically work for him and made him a champion. I just feel like he's gonna be able to take over as the fight progresses. He'll be able to most likely get a finish, but if not, I feel like a clear decision will be there for him. I don't think Krylov's skill is good enough to pair with the size advantage that he has. I feel like Whitaker is clearly the better fighter, and he'll show it. So yeah, Whitaker by decision or by finish, but Whitaker nonetheless. All right, so the next fight is the easiest on the card. It's Gable Stevenson versus Elijah Ellison. And Gable is clearly the favorite for a reason. He's the decorated wrestler with the power, speed. Like he has every single advantage possible in this matchup. So like don't overthink it. First round finish by Gable Stevenson. Yeah, done. All right, so next we have Cody No Love versus Adrian Yanez. And Cody's probably one of my favorite fighters. As disappointing as that sounds, it is true. Um, Cody still has his speed. He still has his power. He's still super dangerous. He just does not have any consistency at all. Some days he looks like, hey, I can be that guy who was champion. And then other days it's like, what the fuck are you still doing here? And you can't bet on that. You can't rely on someone who is so consistently inconsistent. You know what I mean? Yanez is a very tough guy. He's way more durable, he's way more active, and he's much more composed. I feel like the moment Cody gets hit, he's ready to just get it back. He wants to brawl. And he doesn't have the durability to do that. And I feel like that's exactly what will happen. Adrian Yanez will land, hurt him, and then it'll all go downhill for Cody after that. Cody is great. It's just something in him that doesn't allow him to make the right decisions at times. Maybe it's after that first time he got cracked and dropped by TJ, he just never found it again. Sometimes he'll have success, but it's against lesser opponents, if I'm being honest. And I feel like Adrian Yanez has enough skill, composure, and basically durability is what it really comes down to. You got to trust Adrian's durability over Cody's. So, yeah, prime Cody would have been a nightmare matchup for Adrian Yanez. Unfortunately for Cody, this isn't prime Cody anymore. So, with that, I'm going to have to say Adrian Yanez winning by KO. After that, we have Kai, the fighting Hawaiian, going up against Luke Riley. And Kai is tough. He's tough enough to make this competitive, but Luke Riley is the younger, sharper striker, and he's probably going to start taking over once Kai's wrestling starts to fade. And that's what it really comes down to. Kai's biggest path to victory is first round. He's durable, he's experienced, he's really, really good. I just think Luke is better. Luke is the cleaner boxer. He better shot selection. He has more power. He has the higher finishing upside. Like it is really, really hard for me to see Kai winning. I just feel like I expect Kai to have moments, especially early on, especially if he gets some takedowns and he slows the pace down. But over 3 rounds, I just feel like Luke's boxing, his power, his takedown defense, he's gonna start pulling away. And like Kai's the type of fighter who can make everyone really uncomfortable, make them work for that win. But Luke Riley is also the type of prospect that's like he'll eventually pass the test. Whatever you throw at him, he'll figure out. He's that good. So with that, like my best prediction will most likely be Luke Riley winning by decision. And yeah. All right, so the next fight on the card is Tracy Cortez versus Kong Wang. And Wang is the better striker. But Tracy Cortez has the exact skill set needed to expose Wang's biggest weakness. That's her wrestling and her grappling. We know how dangerous Wang is on the feet, but Tracy Cortez is really, really durable. Can she strike with her? No. Can she take a shot? Most likely. Will she have to find the ability to take Wang down and hold her there? Yeah, and I honestly see that happening. I feel like over 3 rounds, Tracy Cortez will find a takedown, at least one in every single round, hold her there. Will she finish her? Probably not. But just that dominating grappling style, the ability to hold her for 15 minutes and just win every single round on top, I feel like that's exactly what will happen. I have Tracy Cortez winning by decision. All right, the next fight, we have Damian Pinas versus Cesar Almeida. And honestly, like, Almeida is the more technical and experienced striker. His striking, IQ, combinations, the ability for him to hold his composure, they're all level above Pinas. But he has to survive that early storm. And then he can start taking over from there. However, I just keep seeing Pinas cracking him early. And if that happens, it's lights out. Like Almeida is 39 years old. Like how much more can his chin take at that point? Like durability becomes a real concern as you get older. So I just feel like Pinas has the power to end it and end it early. And Almeida has the skill to basically take over late. I just don't feel like late is going to be there for him. It's basically high stakes strikers battle. And I'm going to go with Pinas landing first and finishing. So yeah, my prediction for this is Damian Pinas winning by KO. All right, the next bout we have Farid Basharat versus John Garza. And Garza's making his debut on a week's notice, which is ballsy. I mean, Garza is really good. He's a great striker. He's fast. But have you faced high competition? No, not yet. Farid Basharat is great. Like, he's good everywhere. Undefeated. And I just feel like this is just going to be too much for John Garza. He seems composed. He seems like very confident. He seems like he's really good. He's ready for the moment. I don't feel like he'll be overwhelmed. It's just less than a week to game plan and figure out how to defeat Basharat. I just feel like that's too much too soon. He's going to have to face someone that is most likely just better everywhere. And I just don't see him winning that. So if I had to choose, I'm going to say Basharat most likely finishes. And that would be my prediction. Basharat by finish. So next fight on the card is Ryan Gandry versus Zach Reese. Now, Ryan Gandry, he's a heavy-handed finisher. Almost all of his wins are coming from knockout. And he's not like super technical. He throws big, wild shots. And basically, he's just looking to land early. He's looking to put a stop to you. That's all it really comes down to. And Zach Reese has a pretty questionable chin. Like, he's long, fast. He's sharp with his striking. He's very sharp. He throws a lot of volume. He likes to mix in the knees, the kicks. And even if you were to like put him on his back, like he can get slick submission from his back. He's pretty good. He just has a very suspect chin. So I mean, there's a tricky one. Gandry's power is real, and Reese's chin is the biggest concern here. I just feel like his skill set, his experience, and the ability for him to adapt is probably where I would lean more. Like, I think Gandry's eventually gonna get exposed, and I think this is where it happens now that he's fighting a more proven fighter. So if I had to make a prediction, like, it can go either way, but if I had to choose one, I'm going with Zach Reese winning by decision. Gandry has the power to end it early, but Reese has all the tools he needs to survive, to settle in, and then eventually to take over. So I'm going with the more complete fighter to basically weather the storm and then win it down the stretch. That's what it comes down to for me. So Zach Reese by decision. Okay, for the last fight, which is actually the first fight of the night, you have Cody Durden versus Alessandro Costa, and this is a one of those fights where it can seem easy when you first look at it. Costa by knockout is probably what most people would assume. I would as well, but at minus 245 to just say yeah, I'll bet on Costa, or yeah, I'll put him as a parlay piece is like no, that is not what you do. Durden, if he can really use his wrestling and grind into Costa, he can make it difficult. We saw he was a massive underdog in his last fight, and he ended up winning. So it's like you can't just automatically assume that Durden won't be there. However, I feel like Costa has pretty decent enough wrestling takedown, and he can hurt Durden. He most likely will put him away, but even if he doesn't, I feel like he'll hurt him. He'll hurt him enough times throughout the fight that he can still win the decision. So my prediction would be Costa by knockout, but I would not be betting the fight personally. I just feel like that's probably not the smartest thing to do, to rely on someone at those odds. So yeah, last thing I will say is this is my first time making a YouTube video. If you guys can like, subscribe, leave any comments on how I can improve. I just want to make better videos. I love MMA. I love watching the UFC. And any way you guys can help me improve and be better at my craft, I would truly appreciate it. I love this. Love you guys. Thank you for watching. Peace.